Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is part of the Halloween collab with Crafty YouTubers United, and we are going to be making a 3D haunted forest in this lovely square mold from Let's Resin. Now, I'm going to be using these skulls that I found. We've got these cute little ghosts that glow in the dark, and then a couple of handmade molds that I made not too terribly long ago. I had them in a video a while back. Anyway, what we're going to do is I've got my resin and I'm just kind of dividing it up into a couple little cups. Now we're going to start with the mushroom and the trees, and I just need like the tiniest bit for these mushrooms because they're itty bitty like miniature molds. So I am going to, for my tree, I'm using Rolio's Mud Pie Brown. I think this is a nice base for the actual tree part. We're gonna paint over them just to kind of get some detail in there and have it go along with the color of the piece. But I think just for starters, this is gonna be good. Now you did see me spray it with alcohol, and that is because this mold is very, very textured. It has all of like the rings in the wood. It's got the bark kind of going on there. So I want to make sure that I don't have any issues with bubbles sticking. Now for the mushrooms, I'm thinking glow in the dark, and I want to do purple and blue for like the top of the mushroom, and then I want to have the stalk of the mushroom white. That's what I've got in my head anyway. We'll see how it pans out. Since these molds are so tiny and they open up and you really can't see what's going on in there, it's hard to tell if you've got any air bubbles. So I am going around with my dotting tool and trying to squish the mold a little bit and push it in to get that bottom part filled up the right way so that it'll just all be good. You know what I mean? And I've got two different sizes. The one I'm working on now are the really small ones, and then the next size up is just slightly larger. I'm not gonna lie, these are a pain in the butt to work with because they're so tiny, and it's like you stick the dotting tool in there, even using the smallest one that I have, you push it in and it seems like the resin just pops back out. So it's a process. And it does take me a little while to actually get both colors in there to where I'm hoping I have it in there good enough. And if you didn't see at the beginning, I did spray it with alcohol, hoping that that will help kind of make that resin move around a little bit more. But we'll see. Okay, so this is 24 hours later. I've got a tiniest bit of resin, like a couple of drips left from something else I was doing. So I decided to go ahead and color it white. Now for this, I am using Rolio's fluorescent pigment, and it's like number 8811 or something like that. I don't know. They don't have colors. It's white. And I'm just kind of putting in the drops into each one of these molds that I have enough resin to do. I'm not going to need all of them, so it doesn't really matter. And we are now demolding the trees. Now, I love these molds. I love how detailed they are, how textured it is. And I'm going to paint over them now. Now, you haven't seen it yet, but I've already started working on my other piece. So this colors that I have mixed up are kind of going along the same color scheme that we've already got going on. It's just how it just happened. And, you know, unless I do a split screen, I can't show you everything at one time. So we're going to do it like this so there's not a lot of jumping back and forth in the video. I am going dark, dark, dark blues and black. So I kind of want to give this the tone that the rest of the piece is going to have with that brown undertone. All right, now on for the main piece. Now, I am just using Let's Resin's epoxy resin. I just want a very thin coat, and I want it black. Now, I want it black. It's going to be my undertone. Kind of like how the trees, I had the brown of the undertone. The black is going to be the undertone of this because we will be changing it once it has dried and cured and all that good stuff. So I mixed in Rolio's black pigment paste in here, and I'm just pouring it in. We're just going to let it do its thing, go around all the corners, edges with the dotting tool, just like normal, hit it with a heat gun, just like normal, set this off to the side, and come back the next day, and let's start actually creating this. Now, my plan is I want this to be very 3D, and I've done a few, and I've not necessarily succeeded in all of them. I'm still playing with how to get the dimensions right when you're building it up front, but we're gonna keep trying because I'll never get good at it until I do that. But now I'm going to go over this with a kind of blackish brownish blue. And you saw me mixing my colors together. And I'm just doing a very spotty job. This is just going to be, again, the background. I want added depth and dimension to it. So I thought that this was kind of the way to go. Skies aren't actually black. And we want this to be a haunted forest. So, yeah. And, you know, of course, I'm trying to use this, what is it called? Compass, I think it's called. I still suck at it. I haven't improved any since the last time I tried it with the eyeballs. And I'm going to start painting. Now, as I go through the painting process, I'm going to bounce off here, let you listen to some music. I will be back when we're ready for the next step.
Welcome to Halloween, the night of fear and fright. Do you like the spooky scene and things that haunt the night? Witches brew and eerie stew, ghosts that dance and moonlight's glow. Goblins grin and ghastly crew, welcome where the shadows grow. Oh, welcome to the night where everything's a scare. Costumes give a fright, let's all be unaware. Pumpkins grin with glowing eyes, bats that swoop and dive underneath the darkened skies where spooky creatures thrive. Haunted houses call your name, zombies rise from graves. It's a frightful, fun-filled game in the land of braves. Oh, welcome to the night where everything's a scare. Costumes give a fright, let's all be unaware. Witches brew an eerie stew, ghosts that dance in moonlight glows.
I'm back. So for the moon, I'm going over it, and I don't know if you saw, I mixed in some of my glow powders, some gloss varnish, and then because I wasn't happy, I didn't want a bright yellow, I wanted it more dulled down, I went ahead and added a little bit of white acrylic paint to it, and I started with a spongy brush thingy, and I didn't like it, so finger painting was the way to go. This is it looks like a hot mess now. I get that. I understand. But we're not done. There will be more layers, more build up, more adding to it. So this is going to be the background of it. And all the white, in case you haven't figured it out, it's supposed to be fog. Um, it's yeah, it's supposed to be. We'll see. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. Now, for the skulls. I don't want them just plain. So what I'm going to do is I took some gloss varnish and a little bit of paint and some of my, what's it called? My glow powder. That's it. That turns red. Because I thought red eyes would be super, super cool, right? So we're going to do that. And I just got a toothpick because they're so tiny to get that mixture in there in the eyes and in the nose on both of these guys. And after this dries, we're going to do a little bit more to it because I don't like the white like it is. And unfortunately, I don't know if when I ordered the glow powders, if they didn't have like a red actual colored one, or if I just ordered the wrong thing. You know, who knows? They have so many of them. But anyway, it doesn't matter. That's what we're doing. I decided on the witch's hat, I am going to add just a little bit of this too, just to give it more character, make it stand out a little bit more and have more interest to it. Now, the little witch's hat and the grave mold, piece that I have, this was extras that were left over from another video where I had used them. I can't remember which one. So I will link the mold down below for you guys if you're interested in it. I didn't show the making of it because, again, it was just extra pieces that I decided I might as well use. But just taking the toothpick, because honestly, it's the smallest, and I really, as annoying as working with a toothpick can be, you can really get into some detail with that toothpick. So I just found that it's a little bit easier for certain things than even one of the silicone tools. So we're going to do this, let this dry. Once this dries, we're going to start assembling some of these pieces in here so that they fit. Now, we will still be painting later on to build up our forest, but if I don't start getting the ghost and stuff because of how big they are, and now I'm not going to be able to have the resin cover them. So I'm just kind of working out on this mold, and I'm sorry I have to keep putting it up so I can see it right, how I kind of want this set up. It's going to change slightly throughout, but this is going to be the gist of it anyway. And I just took some ISTOYO UV resin and I'm just using that as a glue for this. Now, one thing that I will say to you, hindsight, is that when I was doing this with the UV resin, I was trying to work quick so that it didn't run down the sides because they're all like kind of rounded and whatever. And I didn't pay attention to the fact that there was bubbles in my UV resin. So when I cured it as fast as I could so that the pieces would hold in place where I wanted them. But I didn't take the time to do that. Just thinking in my head, okay, well, I'm going to use the UV resin. It'll disappear once I pour the clear in there. Not a big deal. Problem with that is that if you have bubbles in it, those bubbles are still going to show. And by that point, it's hard and you can't do anything about it to break them because they, are all in stupid places and it's just the whole thing. So if you do something like this, just take your time, be mindful of that so that you don't have the same outcome that I did. Now, I did pour some Let's Resin epoxy resin in here, went around with my silicone tool, and then I'm going to hit it with the heat gun really well to pop any bubbles. We're going to let this layer cure. Now, this is not a thick layer. We're going to let this cure and then come back and we're going to continue to build up our forest in here and give it some more depth and watch the changes kind of as it starts to really form and come together, which I think is pretty cool. One last time, hitting it really, really well with his heat gun so that hopefully I don't get any bubbles, and let this go. We're going to see how it turns out. All right, so next day. Now, first thing I'm already starting to notice is for whatever reason, this mold is starting to like pull in the middle on the two sides. And I don't know if you guys can see, but it's doing it, and I don't know why. It's the first time I've used this one, so yeah, I really don't know. I don't know what its issue is, but it's not making me very happy. Anyway, I'm going to go through this painting process. I will be back when we are ready for the next step.
Skeletons arise from sleep. Bones rattle in the night. Underneath the pale moonlight. They start swaying side to side. Grinning laughs they cannot hide. Spooky rhythms fill the air. Dancing skeletons everywhere. Moonlit battle bones a clack. Groovy beats don't turn back. Spooky sights, a midnight show. Skeletons, they steal the glow. Skulls a wobble, ghosts take flight. Misty fogs embrace the night. Graveyard's rhythm haunts your feet. Join the dance, feel the beat. Pages move in harmony. Ghouls in shadows watch with glee. Joints a creak in bony stance. Under moonlight, ghosts they dance. Moonlit battle bones a clack. Groovy beats don't turn back. Spooky sights, a midnight show. Skeletons, they steal the glow. in the night, ready for a bite. Trick or treat delight, dancing in the moonlight. Goblins on the street, moving to the beat. Candy on repeat, spooky hands and feet. Groove with the ghosts, party with the ghouls. Halloween host, breaking all the rules. Ooh. Witches in the air, flying everywhere. Pumpkin spooky glare, chills in the midnight air. All the rules. Vampires on the prowl.
Okay, so painting is pretty much it's pretty much done for the most part. Now it is time to put the rest of the pieces in here and see what we can come up with. Again, I'm going to be using the ISTOYO UV resin. Now, for right now, what I'm doing is I took a little bit of the UV resin, a little bit of Let's Resin's red alcohol ink, and I am going to fill in the eyes and nose of these skulls. Two reasons. One, I want them red even when they're not glowing. And two, I don't want to have an issue with bubbles in there. So if I fill it up with resin, when I go to pour the normal resin over it, I'm not going to have a problem with them. So it's kind of a twofold thing. That's what I'm doing. And once that's done, it's just about assembling now. So as I go through the kind of assembly process, I'm going to bounce off. I'll be back when we're ready to add the resin.
Citrus with a crimson twist. Be positive, flow so sweet. Juicy eyeballs can't be beat. Underneath the moonlight sky, what mortals dare not leave my height. Sip the night, I'll never die. Blood margaritas in the dark, oh my. Secret recipes I hold. Stories of the nights of old. Whispers in the glass they speak. Every sip a mystery deep. Here in shadows time stands still. Concocting drinks that give a thrill. Immortal thirst I shall fulfill. With every ruby drop I spill. Midnight's velvet cloak descends. In my tavern night won't end. Raise a glass and make amends. To the darkness, to my friends.
I'm back. So now it's time to demold the mushrooms, and I did a really crappy job with them. Like, out of all of the ones I did, I think I had maybe 5 at most that I can actually use that just, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I thought I took my time with them and got it all in there, but obviously not so much. So it's fine. It'll be fine. We're not going to use them all anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I don't have that much space, but I do want to include them in here. Now, I want stuff in front of stuff, stuff behind stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do another thin coat of regular epoxy resin. And then once this one is dry, then we're going to add the mushrooms in, and then we can go to our deep pour resin. Now, because of the way that I kind of put all of the pieces at the bottom, I did leave a space between the wall of the mold and where the actual pieces are. And you can see I'm trying to kind of, honestly, I probably shouldn't be, but I'm trying to pull the mold away from the pieces a little bit. I want to make sure that that resin is flowing down in between the mold and the actual, like all those items, so that I don't have big air pockets in the bottom. That was a worry. I didn't want them like crazy floating because I want a ground, but at the same time, I didn't want to put them straight up against the mold and have that become an issue. So hopefully it won't, but I am spending a lot of time in that area trying to make sure that the resin is flowing into those areas as well, hitting it really well with a heat gun to pop bubbles and to thin out that resin so that it does flow in those areas. And then that's pretty much it for this part, but it does take me a little while to kind of go over it and do it to make sure that I don't have any of those issues. Okay, so we are about done with this. Now it is time to add in the little spots of our mushroom. So all I'm doing is the same thing I've kind of done before. Little bit of gloss varnish, little bit of glow powder, little bit of white paint just to lighten it up just a little bit. And then I'm going opposite. So for the purple mushrooms, I'm going the blue. And for the blue, I'm going to go purple and just use my dotting tool and put it in there. Easy peasy. Like, only takes a few seconds to do. Not really, but, you know, we'll pretend. And let those dry. And then we are going to attach these and then pour what will almost be our last layer of resin. And this time we are going to use deep pour resin because we're almost done. So at this point, like after these mushrooms are on, there's only going to be one more final layer, and I'll show you that here in a minute. But really, it's pretty much a done deal. Like, all that's left is just the waiting game. Okay, so let's resin deep pour is what we're doing. I've got that mixing up. And I am going to UV resin the mushrooms in the places that I feel that I kind of want them to go. And we're going to pour our our deep pour. Now, I I screwed up big time here. Let me just tell you. So I made up, because I really wasn't sure how much deep pour resin this was going to take. I made up one batch, mixed it up like 6 times in the machine, and then scrape the sides with a stick and all that good stuff, mix it up by hand, anything that didn't get mixed up, poured it in, right? Had to make a second batch because it wasn't nearly enough. Did that. I don't think I mixed it up well enough, because once I poured it into the mold, I was like, I seen all these swirls and I was like, oh my God. So I had to dump all of the resin out because I tried to pretend like I could mix it up in the mold, and that just wasn't working. So I had to pour out both batches back into the cup, mix it up again, and then finally pour it all in. I think in doing this is what caused me to end up having so many bubbles along the edges of the mold, like sticking to the silicone, because this piece is, it when it's finished, I mean, you're going to see here in a little bit, it's not perfect, not by any means. It just, I mean, you can kind of see the bubbles in here now. Uh, yeah, no. It's just, it's not a good, I didn't do a good thing. Yeah, I'm trying to mix it up. I cut out the part where I had to put it all in and all that other nonsense because, you know, it just, you didn't need to see it. But yeah, I did get a lot of bubbles that clung on to the side of this mold. I should have paid more attention to it, but it is what it is. Okay, that's finally dry 2 days later. Now, because I've got everything floating, I need to add a ground in the forefront. So I'm just taking, it's the same colors basically, right? The blue with the white, with the black, with the, I think I may have even added a little bit of green to it just because it's mainly the same bluish color we've been going for all along. And I'm just adding grass. Now I will let this dry, and then I'm just going to do a thin coat of regular epoxy resin to seal it all in. And then we're basically done with this. And here we are. This is, I did wait a full day. a little bit more resin. It really didn't take much at all. I had it almost up to the top, but it's a good thing that I did leave myself some space, because that final mushroom, that little purple guy in the middle there, he was not covered totally in resin. And so luckily I decided to do this, and it kind of took care of the whole thing and covered him up the rest of the way. And that's it. Going around all the corners just to make sure that I don't have any issues with bubbles getting trapped there. Hit it with a heat gun. Done. We're going to let this thing cure, and then we are finally going to demold this, which honestly took me about 2 weeks or so to make, which is insane, and be done with this thing. Hopefully everything turns out good. I am worried about how the sides are kind of pulling in. It's not going to be square, but we'll see. All right, so 24 hours later, this baby is finally done. Let's demold this and see what we got. Now, I'm not going to lie, this guy is heavy. Like, heavy. But it's fine. It's fine. I think, all in all, I like it. You can see the layers there, which, I mean, I knew was going to happen because of, you know, the painting and all of that. It's fine. We're actually going to do something to get rid of that. The actual pulling in part, like, I don't mind it that much, but for somebody who wants to do something and they actually want it square, like, that's a problem. So I don't know if there's something I can do to help that out, or if that's just the way this mold is. I really don't know. Anyway, what I decided to do was I'm going to get some of my DuraClear. Now, this is a multi-surface sealer. And, no, multi-purpose sealer. That's it. And I'm going to add a little bit of Let's Resin's Blue Chameleon Powder. Now, I thought that that would just kind of look cool to go with along the same color scheme. Something around the side so you don't see all of the layers and just all of that, and kind of make it look more focused. And I don't know, I just wanted to do it, so that's what I'm going to do. But when I went to paint it onto the actual resin piece itself, it was coming up sheer. So I added a little bit of white paint, a little bit of like a cobalt purple-ish color, and we're going to mix that up. I'm going to paint 2 coats of this over it just to kind of get a nice coat where you can't see the brush strokes. And then what I'm going to do after this dries is I'm going to take some of my gloss varnish, mix in some more of the chameleon powder, and kind of like dab it on, like, so that you get some texture and you can kind of see underneath, but not totally, and just give it a cool kind of look. And really, that's a wrap on this one, guys. Make sure you check out all the other artists in the playlist that will be listed in the video description box below. Like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. I will see you guys on Tuesday in the next one. Love ya. Bye.
spectral digital dream. Craft a witches unite.